Welcome to the ToKini Andy Genki 3rd edition, Lesson 1. We're starting all over again from Lesson 1, and we're going to go all the way through the new Genki 2 and onto intermediate textbooks, so thank you for being here. Let's get started. Lesson 1. Genki Lesson 1 covers 3 different topics: statement sentences in Japanese, questions in Japanese, and using the no particle. I'm also going to cover my comprehensive Genki class a little bit later, like after the lesson, so stick around for that if you're interested. The first thing we're going to be covering tonight is basic Japanese statement sentences. So basic Japanese statement sentences are X wa Y des. So it's a little bit of a formula, but I'm going to explain how that goes. Don't worry, should be easy. So an example of this would be boku wa Andy desu. Boku is a masculine version of the word I. The normal version would be watashi. A more masculine version would be ore. But anyway, boku wa Andy desu, and of course I'm Andy. So let's see how this whole thing works together and take a little bit closer of a look at this formula. Boku-chan, says Lin. Yes. So X in this formula is the topic. It's the thing we're talking about in this sentence. Wa is a Japanese particle. There's many particles in Japanese, and they generally mark something before it. They describe something about it. In this case, the wa particle marks whatever the topic is in a sentence. So in this case, it marks X. Y is something about X. It's what X is. And des is the phrase, basically, it is. So in the example sentence before, we had boku wa Andy desu. So boku is the topic. Wa marks boku. Andy is something about boku. It's about me. So obviously it's my name, Andy. And desu, it is. My name is Andy. Once again, I want to mention that you don't need boku wa or watashi wa when you're introducing yourself. You could just say Andy desu. Lots of Japanese people just say it that way. It's perfectly okay. So if you can't get boku wa or watashi wa off the tip of your tongue, it's perfectly okay just to say your name and desu. So don't worry about that too much. All right, let's go ahead into some example sentences now. After I take a look at what's happening over in the chat, I missed you guys. So, never heard that for girls before. The PC fan became crazy. Yeah, sorry, this fan gets a little nuts every once in a while. But like you did the Undertale stream, yes. Start the stream again like you did the Undertale stream. I forgot I started the Undertale stream all over again. I should have just done that again, but that's okay. Anyway, man, I just missed the special part just for me. Yep. You're so special, Wombat. Hey, Ren. Yay, Boku-chan. What? Ore. Nice to you. Ore. Yes. So once again, thank you guys for being here. You're all the best. That's why I keep doing this. So our example sentences for X wa Y desu are the following. Banana wa amai desu. Bananas are sweet. Now this is interesting because Japanese people tend to refer to bananas as sweet, and I never really thought of them as sweet. I mean, they're not sweet, but they've got this sort of unique taste that I've never thought of as sweet. But in Japanese, we refer to bananas as amai. So amai means sweet. It's an adjective which means sweet. So we say banana wa amai desu, right? Banana is the topic. It's marked by wa, the topic marker. Then we have something about bananas. Amai, they're sweet. And desu. So desu can be it is or they are if it's a plural type of thing, right? There's no plurals in Japanese. So it's just picked up by context that we're talking about bananas in general. If I was just holding one banana and I was saying banana ga amai desu, banana wa amai desu, it would be obvious that I was just talking about that one banana. Our next sentence is kyou wa nichiyoubi desu. Kyou wa nichiyoubi desu. So today is Sunday. So kyou is today. So we're talking about today, marking it with wa. And today is a little bit more about it, nichiyoubi, which is, of course, Sunday. Now, someone mentioned to me that in the original Genki book, in Genki 2, Sunday and Saturday were covered in like lesson 2, and then all the other days of the week were covered later in the book. And I thought that was really weird. They asked me if it was the same way in book 3. The sad fact of the matter is that, yes, it's the same in book 3. The days of the week are covered in different lessons, which makes no sense. But just so you know, nichiyoubi means Sunday. One other thing I want to mention before we move along is that you'll notice that I'm using kanji and katakana and hiragana in this lesson. Now, the reason I'm doing that, you'll notice I put the hiragana, and I usually put the hiragana above katakana as well, but I forgot on banana. The reason I'm doing that is because everyone, I feel like, if you're serious about studying Japanese, you should probably get used to hiragana and reading them. And before you even get started on these lessons, if you're watching these on the replay, you should definitely try and get hiragana down as much as you can so that you can follow along and learn words even easier. If people are interested, I'll consider doing a live stream that sort of goes through Tofugu's hiragana lessons, and maybe we can go through all the hiragana one by one together, if there's some interest. If there's any interest, let me know in the Discord or in the comments or in the chat or whatever, and I'll definitely consider doing something like that. Right. Could boku be used for what we would call tomboys? I think, yeah. As kids, like, tomboys, that's exactly what that little girl is like. She's basically a tomboy. And she refers to herself as boku or boku-chan. So that's actually a good comparison, I think. Yeah. You might also encounter ware, but normal people don't use it. It's quite archaic, roughly the equivalent of using Shakespearean forms in English. Yes. Sometimes you'll hear, like, old people, like in their 70s and 80s, will use ware ware wa and stuff like that, and waga, and there's lots of words for I in Japanese, but generally you don't need to worry about that in the beginning. Yuki is the banana master. The bananas are back. The bananas have been gone for a very long time, and I'm really happy to see that they are back. If they are very ripe, they have a little tang. That's true, says Ariana. I've already learned kana with RTK. Nice, then you're good to go. All right, so moving on. Now we're going to do some slightly more difficult sentences, but with a more, current events tang to them. This sentence is, 動物の森は楽しいです。動物の森は楽しいです。And this sentence is, Animal Crossing is fun. So, 動物の森 is the name of the game Animal Crossing in Japanese. 動物 is animal. Mori is forest, so it actually would translate literally to animal forest. But for some reason that becomes Animal Crossing in English. So, 動物の森は, we're marking the topic, which is that game, Animal Crossing, with wa. It's fun. 楽しいです. This is it is. It is fun. Right? Moving on to our next sentence, we have お風呂は暑いです。お風呂は暑いです. So, お風呂 is the bath. 暑い is hot. です. The bath is hot. So, お風呂, that's the topic. That's what we're talking about. We mark it with wa. And it's hot. So, we put 暑いです. The bath is hot. What's happening, says Seabolt Speaks. We are doing lesson 1 of Genki. In Full Metal Alchemist, they used ware ware all the time, so I thought it was a normal way of saying we. It's like in anime, and once again, old people, they do use it a lot, and also maybe in like the news, or Yuki has something to say. 1 second. What's up?
The company or parties. Like
Company? Ah, yeah. So ware ware is often used. She has a good point. Thank you for mentioning that, Yuki. Companies will use it when speaking about themselves, like in a meeting or in a press conference. A company speaking about me as the company, we, us. They'll refer to themselves as ware ware. Seabolt Speaks. Nice to see you here, man. Yo, with our time difference, I finally made a live stream. It's good to see you here. Thanks. It's been a while since I had one of these, but they're going to be coming at a very regular pace. So, I hope to see you again, and I'm really happy to see you right now. Yeah, Animal Crossing is my junk. Dude, I've been playing way too much Animal Crossing. I've heard that some people here might be playing more than me, but it's a lot of fun. Way more fun than I ever expected. But it is fun. So anyway, お風呂は暑いです. お風呂は暑いです. The bath is hot. I want to mention one more thing before we move on. You don't need to have the word this in informal conversation. In regular conversation, you'll often have people say something like 動物の森は楽しい. Right? Or just, if we're already talking about 動物の森, they might just say 楽しい. So when you're speaking Japanese, not just writing it, when you're speaking it, there's a lot of situations where you're gonna drop a lot of stuff. And you don't need to get used to that right now, but you can experiment with it. Like if you're taking lessons on iTalki or something, and you're having a hard time getting full sentences out, it's perfectly okay to experiment with dropping stuff. One thing you can drop is the topic, 動物の森は, and you can also drop this if you want. But obviously this will depend on context. But in some situations, you might just say, 動物の森は楽しい. Animal Crossing is fun. It has the exact same meaning as the previous sentence, but we just cut off this. Same for お風呂は熱い. The bath is hot. Perfectly okay to cut the des. Don't worry about it too much. Love me some Full Metal, he says. I thought Full Metal Alchemist was set in the early 1900s. I'm not sure. I haven't watched the whole series. I've only watched like a couple episodes. Maybe, well, probably the first season. I enjoyed it. It was better than I expected. But yeah, it's sort of an older setting. Waga appears in game and anime Japanese too for an arcade. Yeah, right. For like incantations and stuff. Yeah, and also like when it's fantasy, in fantasy settings, they'll use that a lot. And it's not like people wouldn't understand what you were saying, but it would be really weird if a person who's not that great at Japanese came up and said, Waga wa andi desu. Or you could use samurai speak and be like, Sessha wa andi desu. Andi de gozaru. This is what we taught one of my friends when he came to visit. Or no, he was living here for a while, but he had no interest in studying Japanese. So when we went out with him, we would just tell him to introduce himself as Sessha wa Brendan de gozaru, and that means my name is Brendan, but it's in samurai speak, so like really old. De gozaru is like an archaic way of saying this, and sessha is like a samurai speak for I. So sessha wa Brendan de gozaru. His name was Brendan. So you learned some samurai speak tonight. Don't use that, or unless you just want to get some laughs. That it could be fun. But anyway. So one thing about the new format, and one reason I've restarted this whole series all over again, it's not just because the 3rd edition came out. It's also because I've updated all of the lessons with a conversation piece. Now, in these conversation pieces, there are going to be some new words and some new grammar that have not yet showed up, but I will explain them little by little as we go through. So first, I'm just going to read the conversation, and you listen. I'll read it at a normal pace. Then I'll read it a little bit slower I'll read it kind of slow once, and then I'll read it at a normal pace. And then I'm going to go over the translation line by line on the next slides. Okay, so let's go ahead. それは何ですか?これ?それ。これはスイッチです。Let's go at a normal pace. それは何ですか?これ?それ。これはスイッチです。Alright. Some of you might already know what I'm saying, but let's go over it line by line. 動物の森は楽しんだ. Would that mean the same thing? 楽しいだ. So, let me just jump back to what Mitchell said. Thanks for being here, Mitchell. In informal Japanese, you wouldn't add da to the end of an adjective. So saying 楽しいです makes that adjective polite. The e adjective, right? 楽しい is an e adjective, which we cover, I think it's lesson 4 or 5. Might even be 6. But anyway, to make an adjective polite when you're using it, you add des. But in informal conversation, and da is basically the informal version of des, you just say the adjective alone. So you would just say 楽しい. So 動物の森は楽しい. Adding da is sort of unnecessary. So it means the same thing basically, but you wouldn't actually use it in conversation. But yes, da is the informal version of des, or rather des is the formal version of da. That would be the correct way to put it. So let's jump into each of these meanings. Sorry, that was a switch. All right, so それは何ですか? So let's go back to the XはYです particle. You'll notice this is a question, which we're about to cover in the next sentence. それ means that. And it means, well, we're covering これ、それ、あれ, etc. in the next lesson, in lesson 2. But just to give you a quick overview, それ means that, but like someone else is holding it, or it's right next to someone, the person you're talking to. So that's the topic. We mark it with は. それは何ですか? Ka is the question marker. We're going over that in a few minutes, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Nan means what. It literally just means what. So それは何ですか? What is that? これ, so if the person's talking to me, I'm holding it. これ? これ means this, something right next to me, or that I'm holding. Person A. それ. Is a very informal way of saying yes. You may know yes as はい, and that's not incorrect. はい means yes, but very informally, just the sound also means yes. So それ, yes, that. これはスイッチです。これ, so this は, I'm talking about this with the topic particle は. スイッチです. Switch is the Nintendo Switch. So this is a Switch. これはスイッチです. And I meant to actually be holding the Switch when I said this to you guys, but it probably wouldn't show up in this little screen anyway. これはスイッチです. So before we move on to the next section, that's the conversation. Does anyone have any questions? In Japanese, adjectives are frequently treated as if they were verbs. That is true as well. Okay, thank you. It's a very uncommon feature cross-linguistically, as I understand it. It is unusual, I think. Well, I'm really newcomer, so I'm missing a lot of things. That's okay. We'll get there. It's okay. Can you give an example, says Ethan. I'll let him do that for you. I see the use of question marks. However, I was under the impression that Japanese people didn't really use punctuation except for full stops. Just stick with it, you'll get it, says Seabolt Sparks. Would e also be informal way of yes? Yes, that one's going to come up a little bit later. They use commas, but ka is usually used in place of a question mark. Casually, ka is removed in place with question mark, which can be indicated by a rising intonation. Ethan, yes, I'm going to be covering that in a little bit. Simpy, welcome to the stream. I'm going to let the chat go on. There's a lot of it. I'm used to being able to keep up, but since so many of you came to hang out tonight, thank you so much. It's a little bit harder to keep up with it, so I'm going to keep going with the lesson so that people on the replay can sort of not get too lost. And I'll answer questions and stuff towards the end or in between each section so that I can cut it out easily later. Just to mention, yes, you saw that there was a question mark back here. I think Ethan pointed out that in normal Japanese, and when there's a ka, there generally wouldn't be a question mark. But because I didn't cover ka yet, that's the next thing we're covering, I put a question mark just to make it more obvious that it was a question. With that said, yeah, if I drop the ka in informal conversation or when I'm doing a text message or something, I use question marks in Japanese as well. We'll cover that in a few minutes. So, too much success, Andy. I mean, I feel special. Thank you guys. You're the best. All right, so our next section, section 2 of Genki Lesson 1, is how to ask questions in Japanese. So, it's pretty easy. All you have to do to ask a question in polite Japanese is add ka. Now, this is another marker, just like another marker, a particle, just like wa, but this is called the question marker, and we add it to the end of a polite sentence. So like this, we have a polite statement, for example, an X wa Y des plus ka. So let's go ahead and use our previous sentences from the last section and just add ka and see what happens. Now you'll notice here that I did not add question marks. Mostly it would just be ka in sort of expressing that it's a question. So let's go ahead and just read through these sentences. Banana wa amai desu ka? Are bananas sweet? Or if there's just one banana that someone else is holding, you might say the same exact thing and just mean, is that banana sweet? Banana wa amai desu ka? Is that banana sweet? So if we go back to our X wa Y des polite statement sentence, we have banana is X. That's the topic. Wa marks the topic. Amai is about the topic, so sweet. Banana wa amai desu. It is. So is the banana sweet? Question mark. Ka is like a question mark, but we speak the question mark. Basically, think of it that way. We're speaking the question mark in polite Japanese only. If I was speaking informally just with Yuki or something, I might just say, banana wa amai. You drop the des there as well. But banana wa amai, just with rising intonation, just like in English, basically. Banana wa amai. But in formal Japanese, which is what we're learning in the beginning of Genki, it's banana wa amai desu ka? Banana wa amai desu ka? Moving on to our next sentence. The topic is today, and today is Sunday. 今日は日曜日ですか? Is today Sunday? The answer is, of course, yes, it is Sunday. So, 今日は日曜日ですか? X is today. That's the topic. We mark it with wa. 日曜日 is about today. It is this ka question. So, is today Sunday? Yes, it is. I like Sunday. All right. We're going to use the same exact sentences from before as well and just add ka. 動物の森は楽しいですか? Is Animal Crossing fun? 動物の森は楽しいですか? Is Animal Crossing fun? The answer is, of course, yes. I think, for me at least. I don't know. I think some people here actually like Animal Crossing as well. I'm not sure. お風呂は暑いですか? The topic here is お風呂, which is the bath. Wa, it marks the topic. 暑い, so hot. ですか? Is it? Is it the bath hot? I don't know. I haven't taken a bath in this apartment ever. I've never used the bathtub in this apartment. I only shower. I would like to, but using bathtubs in Japan, they're so big that my water bill goes through the roof if I take a bath. Japanese people take baths every day, which is fine. I like baths. I like onsens, and when I'm at like Yuki's parents or something, I'll use the bathtub. But man, is it expensive. Every day is like Sunday. Yes, recently it is. Especially for me. I have a meeting tomorrow and then a month, probably, of nothing. So lucky. Japan and Australia have similar time zones. Yes, Ivomac, welcome to the party. It's good to see you guys here. いいえ、米国にバナナは甘くない. Yeah, in America, I feel like bananas aren't sweet too. But in general, fruits in general in Japan are much sweeter than they are in America. That's one thing I love about food in Japan. For some reason, I don't know why, fruits are way sweeter here. So let's go ahead and jump into the conversation for the question section. There's going to be one more grammar point in here, which is our next grammar point. I'll cover it very briefly, and that is the particle no, which is what we're going to be covering next. But it does show up in this conversation, so just be aware. It's fine if you don't understand what's happening with that yet. I'm just sort of expressing it and the usage of ka with this conversation. So I'll read it once slowly, once normal speed, and then we'll go over the translation. So B, you can imagine, is playing Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch. Animal Crossing, if you remember from the last section, or from earlier in the section, is 動物の森. 動物の森. That's Animal Crossing in Japanese, animal forest, basically. All right, let's go ahead. それは B さんのスイッチですか? 僕のスイッチです。動物の森は楽しいですか? 楽しい. All right, one more time, full speed. それは B さんのスイッチですか? 僕のスイッチです。動物の森は楽しいですか? 楽しい. All right, that is our conversation. So let's go ahead and go over the translation. So the first sentence was それは B さんのスイッチですか? By the way, san, if you're not aware, it's basically like Mr. or Mrs. It's a polite something you add to the end of people's names when you're talking about them, to them, or to anyone else. It's like Mr. So is that Mr. B's switch, basically, is what this would be translated to. But we wouldn't refer, like when you're talking to a person, you don't generally say, is that Andy's switch? If you were talking to me, you wouldn't say to me, is that Andy's switch? You'd say, is that your switch? So I've translated it here as, is that your switch? それは B さんのスイッチですか? This no, which we're going to be covering in the next section, is the possessive particle right here. It's being used as the possessive. We'll cover that in a minute, don't worry. So you'll notice, though, in here that we basically have X wa Y. So Y in this situation is B-san no suichi. That is the Y in this situation. Sore, as you remember from before, is that, because B-san is holding it. Des is it is ka, question marker. Sore wa B-san no suichi desu ka? Is that your switch? B-san says, you'll remember from earlier, that means basically yep. It's like an informal yes. Yep. Boku no suichi desu. Boku is the masculine I, so I'm assuming B is a male. Boku no suichi desu. Yes, it's my switch. So there's no topic here, you'll notice. If I were to add the topic, but this is a conversation, right? So it's understood what I'm talking about. I don't need to say again, これは僕のスイッチです. Mr. A or Mrs. A understands that I'm talking about this because it's already part of the conversation. So I cut it. I don't need it. I can just say, yes, it's my switch. Or basically what I'm saying, yes, if I were to translate it literally, yes, my switch. Which you couldn't really say in English. It would sound kind of like a baby talking. But in Japanese, it's perfectly okay. Yes, my switch. The better translation is, yes, it's my switch. Right. 僕のスイッチです。Right, on we go. 動物の森は楽しいですか? This is just a straight XはYです sentence with ka at the end to make it a question. Is Animal Crossing fun? 動物の森は楽しいですか? X is 動物の森. We mark it with wa, so that's the topic that we're talking about. 楽しい, it's fun. ですか? We ask a question. All right, and then B-san just says 楽しい. Now I've translated this as yes or yes, it's fun, but it's literally just the word fun. So if we were to translate this little part of the conversation literally, it would sound like this. Is Animal Crossing fun? Fun! Once again, sounds kind of like a baby talking, but it's perfectly normal in Japanese to just respond with an adjective. As Ryu said earlier, adjectives are often sort of treated like we would think of verbs, but don't think about that too much yet. Just understand that they can be used alone. Hey, Roman, how's it doing? How's it doing? Roman, how are you doing? It's good to see you here. Thank you. I will never give it back. No, my Switch, give it back. 私の友達は動物の森が好きです. Oh, Lynn, good sentence. My friend likes 動物の森. Very good sentence. 友達私の友達は動物の森が好きです. Perfect. Boo. Ryu says, いいえ、つまらない. He doesn't like it. It's boring. What's up? どこにある? This and that. Sorry, one second. One second, guys. Sorry. Ah, I see. This and that said, oh, I have to go now. I'll be watching the live stream later tonight. Ah, she was just telling me that you left. Is boku commonly used? Yes, I use boku all the time. In informal conversation, I use ore. I'm sure you're watching this later, so hope that answered your question. Sorry, I missed you saying bye. All right, so that is the end of that section. Next, we're going to be going over using no to add information in Japanese. So I'm going to stop right here for a second and see if anyone has any questions. And maybe scroll back through the chat because it's going pretty fast, which is awesome. Thank you. Yuki also has something she wants to say, so I'm going to look over there quick. What's up? Huh? 知らんよ? I don't know. It's okay. Every day is like Sunday. Okay, I didn't miss too much, it looks like. Maybe they are sweet in Japan in the way that Coke is too sweet. Could be. That's true. Mr. H is currently co-moderating. Thank you, Mr. H. Please don't ban Kyushu Trail this time. All right, I didn't miss too much. Sweet, perfect. I have never actually played it. I'm simply being contrary for the sake of introducing more vocabulary. I'm cool with that. I didn't think it would be fun, and I was pleasantly surprised. All right, got my drink of water. I just want to take a break to let you guys all know that my sort of coming plan with this whole thing is these lessons will be bi-weekly because there's a lot of information to go over, and I'm also creating extra content, lots of extra content for the Patreon, which you might have saw the ad roll for at the beginning of this. I'll play it again later in case, well, it won't be in the replay. The ad roll won't be in the replay. Sorry, guys. So anyway, so I'm going to need more time to sort of get it ready, and they're more complicated to make in general. It takes me like 40 hours to make each lesson of content just for the Patreon on top of the YouTube. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be cutting these lessons up into a cut version, and then I'm going to release that cut version next Sunday as a premiere, so we can all watch the premiere together. Any questions you might have, you can ask there. And then I'm going to go live at the normal time at 9 o'clock next Sunday, every Sunday after the lesson, for a question and answer on the previous week's lesson. So this week we covered lesson 1. Next Sunday, I'll do a question and answer session, live stream, on lesson 1. And then in 2 weeks, we'll jump on to lesson 2. All right, got that covered. 病気ではない。アンディ君は元気？病気ではない。You asked, Andy, are you okay? Are you feeling good? Are you not sick? I am not sick, I don't think. I hope not. I'm loving it so far. I've been self-studying for 3 months and progressed well. This is great to review my understanding. Thank you, Andy, says the great Jaxby. The great Jaxby, thank you for being here. I'm enjoying it too. I'm so happy to be doing lessons again. I like doing game streaming, but man, I really enjoy these lessons. So I'm really glad that I'm finally able to start going again. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the final section of this lesson, which is using no to add information in Japanese. All right. Boom. We can give more information about a noun using the no particle. So we've learned 3 particles today, right? We've learned the wa particle, which marks a topic. We've learned the ka particle, which goes at the end of the sentence and marks the whole sentence as a question. And now we're about to learn the no particle, which basically gives more information about another noun. So this is how it works. First we have noun A, the first noun, followed by no, and then noun B. Now, the second noun, noun B, is actually the main item in the sentence. Noun A is any added information or anything we want to expound upon B, like anything we want to say extra about B, right? So that's the formula. It's a little weird looking at it right now. I'll explain it with sentences in a few minutes, but it can also be used as the possessive. So the exact same formula, noun A, no, plus noun B, can be the possessive. So basically apostrophe S in English, right? But in this case, noun A is the owner. Then we have no, and noun B is the item that the person owns. So let's go ahead and jump into some examples so that you can get a better idea of how this looks. The first one is Andy no keitai. Andy no keitai. So keitai is it's cell phone basically. In modern Japanese, most people don't say keitai really. They usually say sumaho. Huh? How's that? Sumaho? I can't say it. Sumaho basically, which is katakana English for smartphone. But I still use keitai. So anyway, keitai, Andy no keitai. This is the possessive. So it's Andy's cell phone. So here's my cell phone. Andy no keitai. Or boku no keitai. My cell phone. So in this case, it's the possessive, right? But in our next sentence, youchien no sensei. Youchien is kindergarten. Sensei is, of course, I'm sure you know, maybe not, but you probably know if you're at this point, teacher. So kindergarten teacher. Now this is not the possessive. It's similar, right? But it's not the possessive like we think of it in English. It's basically describing more about noun B. Noun B in this situation is sensei. And what kind of teacher? Let's talk about it more. Well, they're a kindergarten teacher. So we say youchien no sensei. In our next sentence, we have yakyū no senshu, baseball player. So the person is a player of some sport, right? They're a player. Senshu is a player. What kind of player? Well, they're a baseball player. Yakyū no senshu. So if you look at these sentences, it's kind of the same order as in English, except there's an extra step, right? In English, we have kindergarten teacher. There's nothing in between. We have baseball player, nothing in between. You could say yakyū senshu, but generally we'd put no to say that yakyū is about senshu, okay? Basically just that. So here are some sentences using no, and we're going to use the X wa Y des formula to sort of show you how this would work in an actual sentence, like in an actual statement. What's great about the no particle is that we can take simple sentences like before, which was X wa Y des, just one noun or topic, and then one description about it, this, and we can sort of make it more complicated, which is a good thing. We can talk about more. So our first sentence is yakyū no senshu wa tsuyoi desu. Baseball players are strong. So our X is yakyū no senshu, that's the topic, wa tsuyoi desu. Baseball players are strong. Tsuyoi means strong. That's debatable. Not all baseball players are strong, but a lot of them are. Especially back in the late 90s and early 2000s, man, when they were all in steroids. Oh yeah. All right, our next sentence is Andy no keitai wa kuro desu, kuroi desu, kuro. I guess either one is fine, but kuroi desu, kuro desu. Either one is kind of fine. But anyway, my cell phone, Andy's cell phone, is black. Yuki, in this sentence, would you say Andy no keitai wa kuro desu or kuroi desu? Which one would you say? Kuro. Yuki would say kuro, not kuroi in this situation. It's black. Just the noun black. Andy no keitai wa kuro desu. Andy's cell phone is black. Boku-chan no hon. Love it. Boku-chan no hon. I'm glad you learned that one. I hope you use it a lot. Anime ni kimi no keitai. Kimi no keitai. Not just in anime. I actually use kimi quite a bit. If I'm talking about two children in particular, I will often refer to children as kimi. Sometimes I'll even refer to I use it in some other situations, but generally people who are much younger than me, much below me, right? Little children mostly. Andy-kun wa tsuyoi. I used to be. I don't know if I am anymore. I used to be pretty damn strong though. At Kyushu, I like it, says Yuki. Computer no yasui desu. So computer wa yasui desu. So the topic in that situation is computers, right? And we want to know if it's cheap. Yasui desu ka? So in that situation, we would say computer wa yasui desu ka? So is the computer cheap? What's up? So yeah, Yuki's gave me an example sentence just now. She said if you want to use no in a sentence about computer, you could say a good example for this would be kuro no computer wa yasui desu ka? So basically, we use no to describe something more about the computer. So kuro no computer wa yasui desu ka? Another thing to mention is that if we were to say yasui computer, yasui computer, yasui no computer. Yeah, right. With an e adjective, if we were to say cheap computer, so is the cheap computer good or is the cheap computer black? We wouldn't actually need no, but that's a topic that's way ahead of ourselves. We're a couple lessons ahead. Yasui computer wa kuro desu ka? So is the cheap computer black? We could also say that. But anyway, you wouldn't need no there. So, kuro no computer wa yasui desu ka? Or yasui computer wa kuro desu ka? Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. We'll get into that a couple lessons from now. I feel like we're getting off track a little bit, so I'm just going to keep going. All right, the next sentence is a little bit more difficult. You'll notice that we use no twice, which is what's great. We can have a topic that uses no and talks more about something, and the description can also use no. So in this case, we have watashi no okaasan wa youchien no sensei desu. My mom is a kindergarten teacher. Watashi no okaasan or boku no okaasan. My mom. So in this case, it's the possessive. My mom or my mother. And she's the topic. What are we going to talk about my mother? What are we going to say about my mother? Well, she's a youchien no sensei desu. She is a kindergarten teacher. And that's true, actually. My mother is a kindergarten teacher. So, boku no okaasan wa youchien no sensei desu. Right? So we use no in both parts of the sentence, in the X and the Y. So, we're going to jump into our first 6-line conversation. It's pretty simple. There's some new stuff here, I think, but it should be good. So, first I'll read it slowly, and then I'm going to read it at full speed, and then we'll go over it line by line at the end. All right, so here we go. B-san wa nan no shigoto desu ka? Ore? A. 日本語の教師です。すごい。いやいやいやいやいや。Alright, let's do that at full speed. B さんは何の仕事ですか？俺？A。日本語の教師です。すごい。いやいやいやいやいや。Alright, let's go ahead and go over this line by line. So, B さんは何の仕事ですか？This basically, an actual translation of this would be, what do you do, Mr. B? Or what do you do, B? But the literal translation of it would be, what is your work, B? Or what is your work, Mr. B? So let's look at this line by line. We've got B-san, that he's the topic. Wa nan no shigoto desu ka? So nan means what? And we want to know something about his work. Shigoto is, remember, the main part of this construction, the no construction. And the more about it would be nan. So what's your work, basically? B-san wa nan no shigoto desu ka? What is your work? What do you do, B? Is what we would say in English. Ore? Did you know that Japanese people point to their nose when they refer to themselves? In America, we generally point to our chests, right? Generally speaking, I think. Japanese people point to their noses when they're talking about myself. So this person might say, ore? Ore is a very masculine version of I. Me? Yeah. Nihongo no kyoshi desu. Kyoshi. Okay, I'll go over that in a second. I'm a Japanese teacher. So notice we don't have a topic here. You could say, boku wa nihongo no kyoshi desu. But since we're in the middle of a conversation, and the listener already knows we're talking about myself, we just cut it. And we just have nihongo no kyoshi desu. Now, why do I have kyoshi and not sensei? Why do I not say nihongo no sensei desu? The reason is maybe some of you know this, but generally you don't refer to yourself as a sensei. Sensei is like a word that, it's a respectful word. Something like you say to other people who are teachers or doctors. But no doctor refers to themselves as sensei. And no teacher refers to themselves as sensei. Unless you're a kindergarten teacher. Kindergarten teachers refer to themselves as sensei to little children because they want them to get into the habit of referring to the teacher as sensei. If I were to just say Andy desu every time I talk to the kids, they would refer to me as Andy, and they do usually. But with most teachers in kindergarten age, the teachers refer to themselves as sensei, but that is the only situation that any teacher ever refers to themselves as sensei. Kyoshi is another way to say teacher, and that is what you will refer to yourself as if you ever say, for example, become an English teacher in Japan. If you were to become an English teacher in Japan, you would refer to yourself as an eigo no sensei, じゃなくて、英語の教師です。In this case, B-san is 日本語の教師です。Saying 俺は先生である would sound conceited, extremely conceited. Yes. こんにちは。私はここ。ここにいます。I'm here. Welcome back, this and that. Good to see you. A-san says すごい, which can mean wow or amazing. That's great. So cool. すごい has a lot of meanings. It basically has become as meaningless as the word amazing or awesome in English. すごい. Yeah. That's a fun one. I love this. Yeah. No. It's like it's not like being humble, but I love using it. It just means no. Right? Same thing. Yeah. No. Use that. It's a lot of fun. I love it. All right. And now we've come to question time. Does anyone have any questions about anything we've gone over so far tonight? Oh, there's so much going on in chat, and I wish I could answer everything you guys are saying, and I'm so sorry that I can't. But just thank you for being here, guys. There's more to come. We're about to go over some actual questions. But while we're waiting for questions, we're going to go over this little sentence structure, and I'm going to ask you guys some questions in the chat so that you can answer. And if you're watching this on the replay, please answer down in the comments with your answers. So the question is, doko no hito desu ka? This is the kanji for hito. Doko no hito desu ka? Now, there are many ways of asking people where they are from. Many. You could say, dochira no kata desu ka? Or dochira no hito desu ka? Or doko kara kimashita ka? There's many ways, but the one we're going over today is doko no hito desu ka? Because I want to use no, and it's more simple. Doko is a sort of informal way of saying where. Hito is person. Desu ka? That's our question sentence. Doko no hito desu ka? Where are you from, basically? Boku wa Amerika jin desu. I am an American. Boku is the topic. Me. Amerika jin desu. This can be read as jin. For some reason, I do not have. Oh, I do have. the hiragana there. Sorry. You could drop the boku wa. It could just be America jin desu. But today we're going to practice with boku wa or watashi wa or ore wa. So here's the three I's. Boku wa, watashi wa, ore wa, something something. Desu. So, or you could just cut that out altogether and just say the place you're from and desu. So, doko no hito desu ka? Everyone in the chat. Here are some examples. We've got Canada jin, which is Canada. Airulando jin, which is Irish. America jin, which is American. Igirisu jin, which is English or British, I guess. If you're Scottish and you're not happy with that, Scotland jin, go ahead and say that. Also, oh, this one's hard. It's hard for me still. Australia jin, Australian, or Nihonjin. Are there any Japanese people here? Nihonjin. So everyone, doko no hito desu ka? I think we've already got some answers. Mitchell says, boku wa Canada jin desu. Welcome from Canada. Welcome from Canada. Ore wa Beikoku jin de aru. It's a very old way of saying he's an American. Nice. Can you say kono? Oh, that's going really fast. Deutsch is Germany. Yes, very good. Boku wa Australia jin desu. All right, we've got an Australian in Kyushu Trail. Watashi wa Inglando desu. Inglando de. So if you were to refer to the name of the country in this case, you generally say Igirisu jin desu. But if you prefer to say that you were from England, you could instead use no and say, no, you would have to use kara, which we haven't gone over yet. But you'd basically say, watashi wa Inglando kara kimashita. Inglando kara kimashita. That's a little bit difficult. Maybe someone can write that in the chat for me. Sil Mary, welcome. America jin desu. All right. This and that. Watashi wa Igirisu jin desu. Perfect. One part. Wombat dakara. Nice. Australia jin. Nice. All right. There was a question up there. I'm going to go back to it. This and that said, can you say, kono pen wa Takeshi-san no desu? You could say that. Yeah. To say that the pen is Takeshi's. Or would I use, kore wa Takeshi-san no pen desu? Both are okay. The second one is more sort of grammatically perfect, so to speak. But kono pen wa Takeshi-san no desu. You can say that, and it's sort of complicated grammar. You're using the actual sentence. You're cutting something. The actual sentence is kono pen wa Takeshi-san no pen desu ka? Or desu. But because you've already said pen before, you can cut the second pen, and it's perfectly okay to say kono pen wa Takeshi-san no desu. And the second sentence is also fine. Kore wa Takeshi-san no pen desu. Both are okay. All right. Oh, man, we've got lots more down here. All right. Australia jin desu. Evo Mac. All right. Thank you for being here. Super Cactus. Boku wa Indo jin desu. Nice. And we've got Pojibani. Nice. A lot of you guys are from the Discord. Thank you so much for being here tonight, guys. Airudando. Close. Airudando jin desu. Polando jin desu. Irish and Polish. Awesome. Airulando to Polando jin desu. Nice. Watashi wa Italia jin desu. Romores. Nice to see you, Romores. First time I've seen you here, I think. Maybe not. Italia. We've got people from all over the place. It's awesome. Aubergine Archer, thank you for being here. Watashi wa America jin to Igirisu jin desu. Nice. The polite form being de arimasu. The very polite form. Yeah. Ryu's pretty advanced. He knows some good polite form and a lot of linguistic stuff, and he can answer a lot of your questions over on Twitter. If you have any questions about the linguistics of Japanese, probably almost definitely better than I can. He's good at that stuff. All right, so we've got people from all over tonight. That is so awesome. Thank you guys for being here. That's the end of the lesson. I've still got some more to talk about, but please make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this. That is iine o oshite kudasai. That means please hit the like button. And channel toroku onegai shimasu means please subscribe. Thank you so much. I'm going to run the ad roll one more time because on the cut version, or on the replay, I'm going to cut out that whole first half where the slides weren't working. So I'm going to play this really quick, and I'll be back in a minute so we can talk a little bit. 日本語勉強したいのか？
俺と同じ風に日本語を喋れるようになりたいのか？
この本持ってるのか？ Then we're here to help. え、そうなの？俺は無理って言おうと思った。On the ToKini Andy Patreon, we have listening and shadowing practice, Genki vocabulary practice, Genki textbook practice where Yuki, Ando, and I are your partners. Eventually, even workbook practice.
え、そうなの？給料出る？
確かに。
Yeah, sure.
給料出るんだ。
After Genki 1, we'll be covering Genki 2, and eventually even intermediate textbooks. Detailed grammar lessons and Japanese Q&As will, as always, be on the YouTube for free. ToKini Andy Patreon, live right now. よろしくね。
よろしくお願いします。
I definitely have the mic turned off. Sorry about that. Have the mic off. Sorry. All right. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. I'm back. I was going through a couple of where you guys were saying you were from a little bit earlier, and saying how it's so cool that there's people from all over the place. Yes, I'm muted. Sorry about that. Empress Hachiko, that actually killed me. I love it. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was fun. I didn't get the getting paid part on the first roll. I'm dying. Awesome. I finally gone completely deaf, says Kyushu Trail. Does TikTok Andy have a nickname? TikTok Andy, TikTokini Andy, or just TikTokini Ando? Otherwise, no, it's still ToKini Andy. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about that ad roll really quick, just a little bit. And sort of what's going to be happening in these lessons going forward. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I know some people have come in after the fact, that these lessons are going to be bi-weekly. So the reason for that is that there's a lot of content to cover, and I feel like every single week was a little bit too fast for people who are actually trying to keep up. The second reason is that, as you saw from the ad roll, I started a Patreon, and on the Patreon, we're covering things, well, there's a couple things. First, the really simple stuff is there's special Discord roles. There's a couple other things. Yeah, anyway, the main things are that there's extra lesson material. So basically there's vocabulary lesson where Yuki will be we'll have native pronunciation for all of the vocab. So we go over every single vocab in every single lesson with the Japanese, the English meaning, and when necessary, example sentences. And there wasn't anything in lesson 1, but in future lessons, we'll be covering certain words that maybe aren't very commonly used, or maybe if there's a better word for it, stuff like that. The next part is a listening and shadowing section. So basically it'll be dialogue from the textbook and from these live streams. We go over them slow. We have you shadow them. We have you practice them basically along with us. That's Yuki and myself, native and sometimes my pronunciation. And Ando-san also shows up quite a bit as well in the listening. Then a problem with the Genki textbook for people who are doing it solo, who aren't in a class, is that these practice sections often require a partner. It's a lot of asking people questions, not writing them down, but actually asking them in person. Asking them questions and then having them answer. So one of the main video types on the Patreon is going to be basically us being your partners for the practice section. So making all of that takes a massive amount of time. I can't finish a full lesson in 1 week. It's impossible to make all of the material, film it all, edit it all, plan this lesson, and move on. So 2 weeks spread out. But the Sunday in between lessons, I'm going to be releasing the cut version of this live stream so that you can watch the cut version. I'm going to premiere it so we can chat and I can answer any questions that you might have during the cut version of this live stream. Immediately thereafter, I'm going to go live at the normal time, 9 o'clock, and just talk. Maybe I'll have another topic to talk about, or first I'm going to go over questions. So people, if anyone has any questions, I'll answer those questions from the previous lesson, or literally anything about Japanese. We're going to have a question and answer session on the Sunday between lessons. So there will still be a live stream every single Sunday at 9 o'clock. It's going to be a little different. Thank you for answering that question. I have a Mac. It's kind of like that and that over there. Yes, exactly. Asoko refers to a place far away from you and the person you are talking to, whereas Sore refers to an object that is near to the person you are talking to. That's what I understand anyway. That is absolutely correct. Awesome. All right, so that's basically what's going to be going on over the next few weeks. I just want to thank Julianne. She's in my Discord as well. She jumped on the Patreon about a week or so ago before I even announced it anywhere. I don't even know how she found it, but I really appreciate that. It's so awesome. And then Todd just joined my Patreon about 5 minutes before the stream started, and that sort of made me feel all nice inside. Also, a couple of you have sent me some coffees on Ko-Fi. Oh my god. I'm always so surprised when that happens, and it makes me so happy. I know that a couple people in here have, and that was just awesome. And I never expect any of that, but I just felt like I need to say thank you for everyone that does that, because it's really encouraging. So anyway, Andy, what is your opinion about how much time we need to spend in the lessons? We'll join after the stream's done. It depends. It depends on how much time you have. Oh, that's what you mean. The Patreon. Oh, thank you, Simpy. Really? I just understood that. Thank you. Arigato. Thank you. Threw me off in a good way. You are such a great teacher, says Simone. Thank you so much. You guys are such great students. So, seriously though, seriously. To answer Gorkam's question, it depends on how much time you have. I'm on mobile and don't want to exit. No worries. Thank you so much. If you have a lot of time every week, and I know a lot of people right now do have a lot of time, you probably can realistically do a lesson in a week. It's possible. But just for example, lesson 1 of Genki, there's 64 vocabulary words, not to mention the greetings. Todd is me. Love what you're doing. And thank you, Vide. You're Todd. Awesome. Thank you so much. Love what you're doing, Andy and Yuki. Yuki just made a little happy sound over there saying that's because you said thank you to her. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I was so surprised. Awesome. So, yes. It's possible if you have quite a few hours, like 64 vocabulary words when you've been studying for a long time is not too much. Like if you've been studying for 6 months and you're already pretty good at Japanese, learning 20 words a day is probably feasible, maybe more. But at the very beginning, trying to learn 64 words and remember them and be able to use them in a week might be difficult. So just keep that in mind. If you've only got like an hour a day to study, a week probably isn't realistic. If you have an hour a day to study, 2 to 3 weeks per lesson is probably pretty reasonable. I wouldn't take too much longer than that because you'll probably just sort of start feeling like you're not getting anywhere, and might get frustrating. But if you have even less time than that, and I know a lot of people here do have less time than that, and that's okay. It might take you longer, and that's okay. It's totally up to each person and what your goals are. Like, if your goal is to be able to speak Japanese fluently in 6 months, obviously you need to move faster. But it's not really a necessary goal for most people. Like, it's fun to challenge yourself that way, but if you don't actually have the time necessary for that, and I'd say to become fluent in Japanese in 6 months, you need 5 hours a day. That's what I needed. I studied for 5 hours a day every single day for pretty much a year before I really considered myself fluent. And that's what you need. And yes, the great Jaxby, you are correct. Flashcards are key, and not just flashcards, SRS, spaced repetition, like Anki or Memorize, or for kanji, something like Wani Kani has a good SRS system, stuff like that. Using SRS is key, especially for kanji. vocabulary, stuff like that. With tackling with lessons, making things worse and sometimes brain refusing to learn. Yeah. And when you start feeling like that, you should take a break. Like, it's completely okay to take a break and sometimes take a day off. Like, that's okay. When I was studying 5 hours a day, I took probably Sunday off. I don't think I studied on Sundays. Usually I went out on Saturday night and I didn't feel like doing anything on Sundays, but that's besides the point. But yeah. So if you have a lot of time, you can get through Genki pretty fast. But you got to sort of think about how realistic it is for you to memorize the vocabulary and learn the kanji or whatever, if you're going to learn kanji. How fast you can realistically do that. And for a lot of people, it takes some time, and that's fine. If it's your first, second language, it takes a long time to sort of get into the rhythm of learning new stuff. Because most of us haven't really spent a lot of time learning new things since we were in school. Maybe you are in school, so that's different. But like when I started, I was 25 when I started studying Japanese. And I'd never successfully studied any language, and I hadn't studied anything in a long time. So Lynn says, my brain just don't want to retain vocab except kanjis, but not pronunciation. I understand. A very important thing with vocabulary, in my opinion, is what's the difference between utilizing flashcards and SRS? They're the same. So SRS is a system of doing flashcards. So I spend half my life in Anki now, says Pojibani. Yeah, I know the feeling. So SRS is basically a system of using flashcards. So if you were to have a box, basically, you'd read your new flashcards and you'd put them in a slot for reading it again in 10 minutes. And if you got it right after 10 minutes, then you'd put it in the slot for the next day. If you remembered that vocabulary word the next day, you'd put it in the slot for the next 3 days. 3 days later, you'd take that card out. If you remembered it, you'd put it in a slot for 10 days out. And if you forgot it, it would go back to the 10 minutes from now slot in your box. And that's what spaced repetition is. It's basically bringing out the vocabulary or whatever the topic is that you need to learn when you're just about to forget it, then reminding yourself of it so that you can remember it for longer. Pete, I started at 45. It's never too late. If you call someone who knows 2 languages bilingual, what do you call someone who knows 1? Lingual. I have no idea. American, says Mitchell. It's true. Sadly true. Ryu, Yuki no namae wa Yuki de aru? No. Yuki no namae wa Yuki desu. Sweet. Thank you so much for tips, Andy. Japanese will be my second language except my native language. Yeah, it was my... Technically, I was able to speak Spanish for a while I was walking across Spain for 6 months or however many months I was there. Maybe it was 2. I was able to speak Spanish, but then I forgot it all when I came to Japan. So Japan is technically my second language. Another important thing, what I was talking about before the spaced repetition thing is that this is really important. Monolingual. That's what you act. Yeah. American is also true, I think, but not necessarily. There's a lot of Americans who speak many, many languages, and a lot of Americans nowadays whose native language is, Spanish, or mostly, I guess that. So there's lots of bilingual Americans now, but it's still a funny joke. For those of you who have a hard time remembering vocabulary, despite studying your flashcards every day and stuff like that, I was the same way. I couldn't remember vocabulary for my life unless I used it in conversation. If I used that word in conversation, and especially if I messed it up, if I forgot the word and what was that word again, or I said it wrong, it's best if I said it wrong. Like if I messed it up, I would never forget that word again. And I still mess it up. I recently had an interview for my new job a month ago. And I was talking in the interview, and we were talking about whether or not I had a driver's license here. And driver's license in Japanese is menkyo. Menkyo is license, not just driver's license. Unten menkyo. Unten is drivers. Menkyo is license. Unten menkyo. And I was saying that I didn't have a mensetsu. I said mensetsu. Mensetsu means interview. So I was saying, no, I don't have an interview. I said it about 5 times before the person next to me corrected me and said, menkyo. And I was like, oh my god, have I been saying mensetsu? Oh, that's so embarrassing. Despite having a fluent conversation the whole interview in Japanese, I still screwed up that word once, and I will never make that mistake again. Well, I might, but probably not. So embarrassment is really good for remembering vocabulary, but just using it is also, it's so important, which is why there was a month, my third month learning Japanese, I quit English for the whole month. I didn't use English, even with English-speaking friends. I refused to use English for the whole month, and I was learning probably 20 vocabulary words a day. And to actually be able to remember those things, I had to do an iTalk lesson every single day. Every day, I took an iTalk lesson because I needed learning that many vocabulary words a day. There was no way I was going to remember them if I didn't use them immediately. So I think that's really, really important. And I know it can be difficult and to like, it can be nerve-wracking to do like a Skype lesson or whatever, but it's worth it. One thing I'll mention is that eventually on the Patreon, Yuki may start doing lessons, iTalk lessons, based on these Genki lessons eventually. When she quits her job, which I'm trying to get her to do because her boss sucks. So when she quits her job, she might start doing iTalk lessons based on these streams and the Patreon content. So that might be exciting. This and that, knowing the kanjis will help you. Let's see, I missed some comments and it's gone from the screen here. So let's scroll up. Monolingual would be the proper word for a speaker of a single language. Anki got a Google Cloud text-to-speech WaveNet add-on, and it's really, I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. Hoi, ore wa Fransugo o hanasu. Oh, you can speak French. French, nice. I'm setting myself up for a world of pain. I want to learn Japanese, then Chinese, then Korean. I'm in for a rough few years or decades. Yeah, that's a lot of. It's gonna be a lot of work, man. But when you learn one, I feel like if you learn it well, you get a knack for how to learn it. Like, learning how to learn is just as important as learning all the vocabulary in the language. When you learn how to learn, you can learn anything. Like, I'm gonna do a video in the next week or two about the Pomodoro Technique, which is it's my secret weapon. It's how I learn Japanese. If it weren't for the Pomodoro Technique, I wouldn't be teaching you right now. And I wouldn't have a Patreon done, because that's what I used to be able to edit like hours and hours of footage in a week or 2 weeks, I guess. So I'm gonna be doing a video about, it's basically a time management technique where you work in chunks. You focus on one thing, just one thing for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, do that 4 times, then take a longer break. That's basically what it is. But basically I use that to study Japanese, and that got me focused. And, you know, this is just one little thing, one example of learning to learn. So it's important to basically figure out what ways of learning work for you. And when you figure that out, you figure out what gets you motivated, what you enjoy about learning languages, I feel like it's easier to jump to the next one. My plan was to learn like 5 or 6 languages. I wanted to be a polyglot, but I came to Japan, I learned Japanese, and I loved it so much that I never left. Well, I did leave once, but I ended up going to an English-speaking country after trying to become a monk in Thailand, where I was going to learn Thai, and then in Sri Lanka, where I was going to learn Sinhala so that I could speak to people there. But that didn't last long, so I came back. And I'm glad I did, because I got to meet all you guys. Hello Talk is great also. Hello Talk contacted me and asked me to do a sponsored TikTok for them. I've never used it, so I decided not to, because I don't feel comfortable promoting things I've never used before. But I keep hearing about it, and they're obviously doing a pretty heavy advertising campaign if they contacted me to advertise for them. Let's see. Scrolling up a little bit. So many comments. Peter, for sure, sometimes Japanese people are too nice to correct you. Yes, that happens. Japanese people can be too nice, which is why it's important to get a teacher and tell them to correct you. Like, beg them to correct you, because you get stuck in mistakes. I've gotten stuck in many mistakes because people wouldn't correct me, and I found out like 2 years later that I'd been saying something wrong for years, and that's a hard habit to break. Simpy says, I have been using the licensed professional, but it's about twice the price. Yeah. Depending on what you want, whether you want a licensed professional or not, it's going to depend on whether you have a plan for yourself or you'd prefer a teacher to make a plan for you. When I was doing either way is fine, I think, in my opinion. Like, just doing it is the most important thing. Myself, I knew what I wanted to do in the lessons. Like, I had a lesson plan for myself. I just wanted to use what I was learning with someone. So I did not pay for the licensed professional. I paid like nothing for a really cheap lesson. But the teacher ended up being amazing. Like, she was awesome. I did so many lessons with her. And she's still on there. She's done like 8,000 lessons or something. But it was only at the time like $5 per lesson for an hour. It was ridiculously cheap. I felt guilty. But anyway. Good night. Oyasumi nasai. Is Yuki sleeping? No, she's not sleeping. You were going to become a monk? Should I tell that story finally? Like, I'll try to catch you next stream. No lockdown for teachers, so oyasumi nasai. Ah, Peter. Oyasumi nasai. Sorry, I missed that. Looking forward to that video. Sounds informative, says Vide. Ah, the Pomodoro one, yeah? I need to make that. Stop touching your nose. Practice social distancing from it. Dude, it's so hard. It's so hard to stop touching my face. So hard. That's why I just don't go out. Ooh, turning down sponsorships. Nice. Yeah. I didn't turn it down. I just didn't respond. I still might. If people keep telling me how great it is, maybe I'll at least try it. And then we'll see. Something, something, something. That's a cute punctuation face. I'll be a community one, maybe. Ah, you're talking about teachers. Okay. See? Missing chat stuff again. Anyway. Yeah. So where was I? I don't remember where I was. That's basically it. I wish to know this monk story. He was going to be a monk, but he became a monkey, basically. The monk story. All right. You know what? I'll tell the monk story. I've been teasing that. It's not that exciting. For like a year. Basically, it's not that exciting. When I lived in Japan previously, I began meditating, probably 2015, a lot. Like 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning, an hour at night. And I was having great experiences with it. I really, really enjoyed it, meditating and just focusing on it and doing it every single day, multiple times a day. And I wanted to do it more. And I started researching more into Buddhism, and basically finding out that Buddhism was not really so much of a religion, but that it was more of a philosophy. And Gorga, my job in Japan was a kindergarten teacher, kindergarten homeroom teacher, but now I'm just an ALT, working part-time, so that I can spend most of my time making stuff for YouTube and Patreon stuff. So, yay. So, an ALT, I teach 4 kindergartens and 1 high school, starting next month. Continuing. So, I was meditating every day, twice a day, and I decided that I wanted to become a monk because I was learning a lot from like old 1,000-year-old Buddhist texts talking about meditation. And I wanted to learn more about it. Not for any religious reasons. I was just more interested in what people down there had to teach me. And also the idea of that lifestyle of sort of cutting myself off from money, from politics, from just everything that made me comfortable. And living a lifestyle where, you know, I had to go out and I couldn't have money. And I went into town and held out a bowl and I ate that day what people gave to me. And I lived in a single room in the forest. And I actually had friends who lived in the forest, in the jungle in Sri Lanka, and as monks. And I wanted to try it. I thought it would be awesome. So I quit my job, and I broke up with Yuki, and I went. We met in I went back to America for 2 months to sort of get my stuff in order and say goodbye to my family. And then I met Yuki again in Thailand for a week, and we hung out, and she went to New Zealand to study English. And then I stayed in Thailand and went to a monastery. I was going to check out this monastery and then go meet my friends in the jungle in Sri Lanka and ordain as a monk. That was my plan. Almost immediately in Thailand, I got really bad food poisoning. I went to the monastery alone after saying goodbye to Yuki and continued to have really bad food poisoning. And it was a good experience at first, besides the food poisoning. But it quickly became apparent that this monastery was not a place that I wanted to be. Everyone there seemed like they wanted to kill themselves, basically. Everyone was miserable. Miserable. It was a beautiful place. Really well-known place for foreign monks in Thailand. Beautiful, but really strict. Most people seemed like they hated it there. So I decided to go meet up with Yuki again in New Zealand for the 2 weeks until I was supposed to go to Sri Lanka. where I was going to go still ordained to be a monk. But I got to New Zealand and found out that Americans can get working holiday visas in New Zealand. I had no idea. And I stayed with Yuki for a year in New Zealand and decided I wanted to come back to Japan. And then my old company sent me a message. My old boss, the old Encho sensei, sent me a message and said, come back to our company. We need a teacher again. So I came back and here I am. Ta-da! And I'm not a monk. Instead, I'm a Japanese and English teacher. All right. And that's the story. Wasn't that exciting, was it? And I'm back with Yuki, because that's the real reason I didn't become a monk. I missed her. True story. Anyway, Andy, may I ask your job in Japan? I already answered that one. Which brand? What kind of brand? I'm not sure. Duolingo. It is not enough by itself, says Lynn. It's a good addition to Genki Lessons, though. Poor Yuki, says you. I know. I feel bad. I use Duolingo, but it's not so good. Aw, says Yuki. I've never touched it. I've never checked it out. I hear a lot about it, and a lot of people enjoy it. I think casually learning Japanese, it's probably not bad. It was kind of exciting, says Mitchell. It is not very good, but it helps vocabulary to stick in your head. The lessons in Duolingo weren't cutting it for me. It was good for getting me started, though. Yeah. That's how I feel about most Japanese learning apps. Or language learning apps. They're good to get you started and let you see if you might be interested in the language, but they're not going to get you there. In the end, you're going to have to learn a lot on your own, probably use various textbooks, a lot of YouTube, and a lot of flashcards, and hopefully a lot of iTalki or Skype lessons, or if possible, talking to actual Japanese people. I know Simpy, he works with some Japanese people, and he used to do, I don't think, well, he can't now because we're all in quarantine, but he was doing he would meet with those Japanese guys and they'd speak a little bit of Japanese when they could during the week. So stuff like that, if it's possible, using it is so important. But anyway, I learned Japan looking for English teachers. Actually, I thought I can become English teacher and apply to Japan, but also I saw some information about Japan selecting teachers with native English speaker ones. So is that true or not? Andy-kun wa kawaii? No. Generally speaking, you need to be native speaker or native level, but there's jobs for people who speak other languages too. I know there's a place here in Nagano City, in fact, where they teach Spanish, Italian, French, maybe even German, and English. And there's native speakers of each of those languages at that school. So it's not only English teachers that teach here. It's mostly English teachers that teach here. And some schools will hire you to be an English teacher even if you're not native, if your English is good enough. At the moment, it's probably hard to find a job. Usually it'll be August, or it'll be... August is when they hire. August or April is when they hire ALTs. So generally you start looking in June or July, or in February, March. Did I miss anything else? So sometimes it's weird. Duolingo is sourced from Google Translate. Ooh, is that true? That's terrible. Maybe not so good then. Japanese Google Translate it's getting better, but it's probably one of the worst languages when it comes to translations, just because the grammar's so different. And because Japanese leaves so much out. You can cut so much out. It's really hard to translate into English with a machine. Kira-kun says heart. Uso de aru. When I originally wanted to learn Japanese about a year ago, I started using Duolingo. I hated it so much, sounds strong but true, that I gave up learning the language until about a month ago. Maybe it's just my brain, but I find it much easier to use textbooks in any kind of learning. Textbooks are great because you can choose what you want to learn. You can turn the page and see that you don't want to learn this right now, so you can go on to the next thing. A lot of apps that have a track, you don't get to choose. You just have to go along that track. I also highly recommend Tai Kim, the app, the free app, or the website, or the book. There's a book on Amazon. I have it on here. Tai Kim's. I did a review on it. It wasn't a great review. I could have done it better, but I didn't have much time. There's an app, Tai Kim's Learning Japanese. My dirty screen. The Google Pixel 3a, it's an amazing phone, but the screen is terrible when it comes to smudging. Anyway, as a compliment to Genki, I highly, highly recommend this. The Genki explanations, the 3rd edition, as you might have seen in my review, is better when it comes to explanations than the 2nd edition, but it's still not great. Tai Kim, on the other hand, is great. Ivomac with the Patreon, do you need Genki? It's helpful. Most of it is coming from Genki. So like for the exercises, the textbook exercises, some of the exercises require things like this chart here, for example. Some of the exercises we go over require that. Not all of them. Some of them you could probably answer without them, but most of them are going to require the textbook for that. As far as the listening shadowing practice, which is on the lower tier, and the vocab, you don't need Genki to have them. A lot of it comes from Genki, but the listening practice in particular, and the listening shadowing, you don't need Genki in particular. A lot of it you can also just pick up from these Genki streams and then use that on the side. And there will be more. I'm planning on putting a lot more content on the Patreon than just what's there now. I'll also be doing workbook practice eventually, but because of the virus, I don't want to go to the convenience store and print out hundreds of pages to actually write on. I plan on putting a lot more content, but if you don't have Genki yet, it might be worth holding off on the Patreon for now until there's more stuff that isn't from the textbook. Let's see. I'm going to check out some more comments, and then it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to call it a night because I do have an early meeting tomorrow. And that's that, but then that's it for like a month. With the Patreon, I am close to finishing the Genki books. I was wondering where you would recommend going from there. So, I'm looking for advice on that too, because I never used a textbook after Genki 2. I just picked stuff up from conversation and on iTalk lessons, and I used this myself. Could you explain the difference in pattern tiers? Yes, I will explain that in 1 second. So, I use this. I just made sentences. I learned grammar points from this grammar dictionary in the intermediate one. I made sentences myself. And then I did lessons on iTalk where I asked the teacher to correct them. And I learned that way. So I never used an intermediate textbook because when I was learning Japanese, there really weren't any. So I don't know anything about intermediate textbooks right now. The ToKini book, I do recommend that for now. I'm going to be researching some intermediate textbooks going forward. And Kyushu Trail says, wait, gotta go, my beauty sleep. Kyushu Trail, good night. Thank you. Oyasumi nasai. Thank you for being here. So I'm not sure which one I can recommend yet. I can't, in good conscience, recommend any intermediate books yet because I haven't looked at any yet. But within the next few weeks or months, I'm going to have to look at a bunch because I'm planning on teaching an intermediate textbook after I finish teaching Genki 2. So I'll do a video. I'll do a video on whichever ones I find the best. And I'll let you know. Sorry I don't have a better answer for you. The differences in pattern tiers, Kyushu Trail. Actually, native meaning about your born language, and I don't think so. There's not a teacher job. For native Turkish, yeah, native Turkish might be hard to find here. What's up? Oh, wakaru. All right. So the Patreon tiers, there's two Patreon tiers. One is the $5 tier, one is the $10 tier. The $5 tier, basically you have access to, there's challenges, which are, for example, this week the challenge is to make a skit. You don't have to do it, obviously, but I think it's good practice. Make a skit either on TikTok, YouTube, or just a regular video that you upload to Google based on parts B and C of section 6, and then share it on the Patreon, basically, and I can correct it, stuff like that. And it also has access to the listening and shadowing practice videos, the first greeting vocabulary videos, and there's a Discord role, and shout outs on all YouTube videos and stuff like that is on the $5 one. Then on the $10 one, there's textbook practice. The textbook practice video, which is the longest video, where Yuki, Ando, and myself are helpers, or are your partners, and we practice basically with you. And then there's also the vocab video, and of course the listening video and everything from the lower tier. And when I finish the workbook videos will also be in that tier. I had also planned on going over the kanji, but I realized that I can't do that better than wanikani. So there's no reason to make it. It would be a disservice to not just recommend wanikani at this point in time to people who are learning kanji. So I'm not going to make kanji videos because I can't do it better than wanikani in the amount of time that I have. So those are the tiers. If you're just looking for listening and shadowing practice, the lower tier is perfectly fine, I think. I mean, any tier is fine. It's more than... I feel honored. If anyone joins any tier, makes me feel amazing. Thank you so much. Andy, do you have any information on scholarships? No, I don't know much. Or anything, actually. I'm sorry. Genki has an intermediate book, but it's not called Genki. I forget what it's called, but I know that one. I'll probably have to check it out. All right. So, guys, well, it might be better for me becoming an engineer. Yeah, engineers are very sought after. And there's actually, like, manual labor is also very sought after here as well. There was a French girl here in Nagano City that was working on... she basically was building houses. She was helping build houses, I think. Or doing road work? I'm not really sure. French girl. Didn't speak Japanese, just French and English. And she was fine. Did you use RTK? Yes, I did. I used RTK. I loved it. I loved it. But I felt sort of let down when I finished it because I realized that though I had learned to read, I learned the meaning and I learned to write 2,000 something kanji. I couldn't read them. I didn't know the readings. So I literally was going to have to go back and learn all the readings separately. And ToKini does that better. So I have to recommend it. There's nothing I can do. Ando is a beast. He's so unlike you. How did you come up with Ando? I have no idea. I don't know where Ando came from. I really don't. I don't remember. It's just, I needed something funny to do. And I was like, let me make this ridiculous guy. And I don't remember. I don't know where he came from. I feel like he's literally a different person. When that costume goes on, all bets are off. Well, I just bought Genki and joined the page. Thank you, Ivomac. Thank you. Oh my goodness. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I'm going to work my ass off to make it the best Patreon I possibly can. Thank you, Simpy. Oh my God. You guys. Because of you guys, soon Yuki will be able to quit her job and become a full-time Japanese teacher. Thank you. I'm practically full-time because of my new job, so I can make lots of content for you guys. Yeah, thank you. My ToKini app stopped working. Oh no, I've never used the app. It's funny because Ando is a common nickname for Andy in Australia. Really? That's cool. That's funny. I picked Ando because, I remember some guy kept at I go to festivals a lot. I went to like 9 festivals last year. When I say went to, I helped. I participated in carrying the shrines around town. And when older guys get drunk, they tend to jokingly just call me Ando-san. This one guy in particular. He's really obnoxious but funny guy. And he just called me Ando-san. Ando-san! Ando-san, come here! In Japanese. And so I just decided to make the character... I made a character based on what I imagined him seeing me as. So I took what I imagined his perception of Ando-san was, and then I made a character from it. I remembered. Ando just showed up one day and took over. Arigatou gozaimasu, Atsimpi, and Ivomac, and Vide, and Joanne. All right. Yeah, I'm on 915, but I'm learning lots of readings from other places along the way. Oh, I'm on number 915, but I'm learning. Yeah. So that's what I recommend. If you're going to use RTK, and it's an amazing book. Like the method it teaches you is useful for not just kanji, but for learning in general. So in that sense, it was valuable. But if you are going to use RTK, make sure you are learning readings along the way, because it's really, really discouraging when you get to the end and realize you can't actually read a single word. You are a whole new person when you put on the costume. It's true. It's true. I never speak English when Ando-san is around. Try to stay in character. All right. So, Mero Ando, you both rock. Happy to help. I'm looking forward to more Andy and Yuki. Thank you. We are looking forward to lots more streams. Maybe Yuki will show up on a stream one day. And lots more. Tuesday, we're going to be playing lots and lots of Undertale. And I might have to do a second stream this week for Undertale because I want to finish it before Koei comes out next Saturday. Next Saturday is a full day stream of the new game, the new Japanese learning video game, Koei, which I will be playing on Saturday all day long. Sunday will be the release of the cut version of this stream and a question and answer stream Maybe I'll go over hiragana in it. It'll depend on who shows up, but we'll see. I've been waiting for this since I joined the Discord. Thank you. Thank you. I've just been waiting for the time to be able to make everything I want to make for it. I want to make it valuable. I want to make something that is, useful for people. Not just, ask for donations. But anyway, so that is it for tonight, guys. I'm going to run the ad one more time and say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here. I had a great time. It's so great to be teaching on YouTube again, live streams. Playing video games is fun, but teaching is the best. Lin Sensei, 今日はありがとうございます。こちらこそありがとうございました。Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great night. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face like I've been doing all night. And I'll see you next week. I'll see you in the Discord. See you all around. See you on Tuesday for the live stream if you're there for that. Good night, everyone. 日本語勉強したいのか？
俺と同じ風に日本語を喋れるようになりたいのか？
この本持ってるのか？ Then we're here to help.
え、そうなの？俺は無理って言おうと思った。
On the ToKini Andy Patreon, we have listening and shadowing practice, Genki vocabulary practice, Genki textbook practice where Yuki, Ando, and I are your partners. Eventually, even workbook practice.
え、そうなの？給料出る？
確かに
Yeah, sure.
給料出るんだ
After Genki 1, we'll be covering Genki 2, and eventually even intermediate textbooks. Detailed grammar lessons and Japanese Q&As will, as always, be on the YouTube for free. ToKini Andy Patreon, live right now. よろしくね。
よろしくお願いします